Well, I'm doing another inside quick update aimed at my tree, which of course you can be very critical of, but that's fine. It's better from a distance, but whatever. Anyway, yeah. So here's what's going on with my kid. Update. He was with his father. Oh, that's Pansy. She might be making an appearance. Anyway, and that was not working out. And he came back here and gave me this whole big sob story. And I let him back in the house with some guidelines. The rules were very simple. No violence. Let me sleep at night or any time I wanted to. He inherited my mother's absolute incapability of allowing people to sleep. He has to wake them up. I don't understand it. Anyway, basic hygiene, and that he couldn't turn the house into a tip. They had to try to, real basics of keeping the place picked up at least. It was probably within an hour that it started deteriorating, that he got back. He started fighting over everything. The downward trend, I mean, it's everything he's always done before. It was just so quick, unbelievable. Within a day he was doing the hit me with objects other than his hands, which for some reason doesn't count to him. The intention thing, if he doesn't intend to hurt somebody, then it's not supposed to hurt. And actually, comparatively, it wasn't. Here I am diminishing being a good abused person. It wasn't, but it wasn't like he was damaging me. But I mean, yeah. And then I insisted he had it. There's a cat again. That he take a shower. I have no idea how long it had been. He'd been wearing the same clothes. His bathroom hygiene is not as good as it should be. It sometimes is. Come on, cat. Come here. Get out of the way. Can't see the tree. Come here. Oh, she's going to be a pain right in the way. Sorry. Turn it up a little bit. Anyway, so he just reeks. Yikes. Sorry. He just does. And so I insisted that he had a shower. His response to that, and I wish I was kidding, he did take a shower and then somehow ripped the shower door off. I have glass shower doors. Ripped it right off. Don't know how he did that. But of course I'm like, oh my God, because, I have no idea how to repair that. I'm thinking this is another major expense I'm going to have. Yeah, I did end up fixing it on my own. God, what are you doing? Anyway, but then it again continued to escalate. Was incredibly scary the next day after that. So this is like a day and a half. Maybe 2.5. I think in total it was 2.5 days. There's Pansy trying to be a star. that he was in the house. And he started getting super escalated again, and I'm following all the advice of every therapist I've ever had, which is when he gets elevated, walk away, turn around and walk away. Well, this is a kid who, his favorite thing is to choke people, have his hands around somebody's throat, choke them. So I'm walking away, and he grabs me by my shoulders and shook me. It was like, oh God, here it comes. But he didn't actually choke me this time, and he's still screaming, and he keeps calling this friend of his to use. Oh, that's Pixie. That's the other black cat. Wants to be a star again. They all want to be stars. And this guy would basically tell him, it's not unreasonable, these rules that your mother has come up with. And then also validate him telling, his story, how he picks, that I'm the worst person that ever existed, and I'm horrible because I'm not letting him relax, and blah, 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 blah. But then 2 days ago, 2.5 days after my kid got here, this friend was unavailable. So my son called a crisis line, mental health line. Basically to get support is what he wanted. He wanted them to say, that, again, same thing, that I'm the worst thing that ever existed and blah, blah, blah. And this guy on the phone refused to do that. He's actually already talked to my kid before. Picks right in the way. And was telling him, he needs to calm down. And it's like putting gas on the fire. And my son got even more elevated and started screaming. And so the crisis worker called the police on my son. They came to the house, and he was still massively elevated, screaming and yelling. Screaming and yelling at the police. He didn't get arrested. I had to submit to a check by the police. They wanted to see if there were any marks on my body. They wanted to arrest him for domestic assault. So they checked my neck and shoulders. They couldn't find any marks. They took him to the hospital. This was 2 days ago. My son is 18. I called to check and see what was going on. And he refused to have any information given to me. He wanted me to have nothing to do with his care and didn't want me involved at all because, he's punishing me. Because I was supposed to comply to his orders, and I didn't. And who the hell am I? So I'm being punished. He left wearing his clothes with his wallet, his phone. I think he had about $100 in his bank account. So yesterday I called. I know they can't give me any information, but who knows, maybe he changed his mind. And they say he's not in the hospital. Okay. I assume, since he's off his meds, he refused to take his meds since basically he left for college, which is in September. He just stopped taking them cold turkey. I thought maybe they put him in local mental hospital so that they can get his meds sorted. Called there, not a patient. See, they can tell you if somebody is not a patient, it's not in that, they can't give me any information. If they had said, oh, I'm sorry, I can't give you any information, I would know he's there. He's not there. He's not in the regular hospital. He's not in jail. He's not in any crisis center. He's not in homeless shelter. Again, I went like backdoor to all these things, called them, and he's not in any place. I don't know where he is. He's gone missing. He's been missing for 2 days. It's been super cold. I think it's just gone above freezing. He hasn't been back to the house. He hasn't gotten any of his stuff. He's not answering his phone. He's not answering texts. I think he probably blocked me, even though I pay his phone bill. One of his friends checked in on me to see physically if I was okay. So I've been sending that guy messages saying I don't know where he is. Nothing back. Not even reading them. So clearly wherever my kid went, he's telling people not to contact me. I'm sure he's telling them terrible stories about what I did, how I threw him out of the house. My son begged to go to the hospital, begged to go in an ambulance because he was afraid of being arrested. And actually the police had a big debate about, using an ambulance. Somebody who's dying might need an ambulance, and they're going to waste the resource of taking him in on the ambulance. He begged to go to the hospital. I'm sure that he's telling everybody that I sent him. And who knows what the hell he's saying. But I have no idea where he is. He's trying to punish me by making me worry, and I think that he's doing a pretty good job of that. Oh, Bixie left. So, it's, I don't know, 2 or 3 days until the holiday? I seriously have no idea. Christmas tree, obviously, that's what, I'd be doing some kind of celebrating. But not this year. To recap my year, my mother died in January. My father went into a hospital for Alzheimer's, got a diagnosis of advanced dementia in March. My son went to college in September and really started deteriorating mid-October, which is when I had my major surgery and had lost an organ. And now he's missing. Okay, so that's the recap of avoidant personality disorder. How does that have anything to do with this? Well, I can tell you this. Being alone sucked. It was horrible. It was unbelievably brutal. Like jumping off a cliff. I spent all my time taking care of these people and they just poof, vanished. When my son went to college, he told me, I'll see you next December. He did actually start needing me to help him pretty quickly, but being completely alone when you have avoidant personality disorder, when there's no other people, because I do not interact with new people at all. And I've told this before. It's my own weird thing. Now that I know for sure the effect I will have on people, morally, I can't bring myself to putting them through being with somebody who's avoidant personality disorder. And yet, I am, for an introverted, avoidant person, pretty much a people person. And I really wish I had people. I really wish I had people in my life. And I really miss not having people. Even though they were all abusive and using me, it was people. They were very self-centered, but, you know, I could still talk to somebody. Now I have cats. And it was brutal. But having him come back and be abusive again, really, truly, that was worse. And it is well documented, and they've done all these studies and everything. Oh, there's Pixie again. How avoidant people with avoidant personality disorder are so much less likely to divorce or break off relationships with abusive people. Because they don't have the self-esteem. They don't think they're worth being treated well. They don't think that anybody... Oh, there's Pixie again. Come on, right in front of the camera. Good job. They don't think that anybody else will come along. I have in the past sort of kicked people to the curb, I guess that's a way of putting it. Cut them out of my life, and it's always because I can tell that how I'm interacting with other people is deteriorating massively because of the influence of one individual person. And I've cut them out. I mean, for instance, my father, I think I've told this story before, when my son was 4, I think he was 4, my father came after me and tried to beat the shit out of me right in front of my kid. And I shoved him off, and he was going to call the police on me, even though I had handprints up and down my body. They could have, done a fingerprint scan of the bruises on my body and matched to my father. But he was going to call the police on me, haha. And I stopped talking to my father for 3 years, and I probably would not continue to not talk to my father, except that my mother, contrived this big thing and sort of forced us to start talking to each other again. My father beat me up quite a few times, and I never left. It wasn't until I saw that he was impacting my son by beating me up, that's when I left. Other people, for whatever reason, relationship, friendship, whatever, interaction, same thing. If it's making me incapable of keeping other relationships going, then I'll cut people out. That's what it takes. I did not call the police on my son this time. It was crisis people that called the police on him. And then he begged to go to the hospital. It had nothing to do with me. Because I don't have anybody who would be impacted really by him being here and being abusive to me. I wish I knew how to do it on my own. And to say that I mean, I can't even get the words out to say I'm worthy of not being abused. I mean, clearly I can stick up for myself and do things on my own. Maybe more than the average avoidant person. I don't know. I'm capable of doing it. I just went on that trip by myself. That was something, going to a different country where I didn't even speak the language, entirely by myself. But I did it. You know, this is coming close to being braggy. But I mean, factually, there aren't many people that would do that in this world. So, if I'm capable of doing that, you would imagine that I would be capable of sticking up for myself to not be abused. But I find it remarkably, unbelievably, impossibly difficult to do that. And so I don't have advice on how to do it. But I am saying now that if you are stuck in some sort of nasty relationship that is abusive, as much as it feels like it will, your life will get worse because you won't have anybody in your life, I'm telling you now, even if you're alone, it will still be better than dealing with the abuse. I just don't know how to do it. So, if you can find the strength to think about it, and what's keeping you is worrying, is your life going to be worse? No matter what, your life will be better if you get the abuse out of your life, even if you're alone, just to have peace and not worry about how you're going to be attacked, to not have that constant monkey on your back about, are they going to find something out about you and criticize you? Are they going to, whatever the heck stupid thing is going, I mean, it's not stupid because it's your issue, but I mean, really, seriously, the amount of mental energy that goes into prepping for abuse is unbelievable. And if you can get that out of your life, even if that means there's no people at all, then life is better. And really, truly, when people hear your story of what you've gone through, they're not going to abandon you. I mean, I'm going through this. I know what my son has said. The last meeting I had at the college when he was still 17, I had 2 people pull me aside and say, oh my God, that was really rough what he said. He wants to blame me for everything. He seriously thinks that he failed out of college. Uh-oh, cats. What are you doing? He believes wholeheartedly that the reason he failed out of college was because I would call him, and when I couldn't get him because he's threatening suicide, because that's what he does for attention, I'd call him and call him and call him. So yeah, I would call him like 6 times a day. Apparently, that is why he failed out of school, and I am not kidding. That is the story he tells people. I don't know if they actually believe it because it's asinine. But if that's what he's telling people, how he got out of college, this entire thing, I'm sure he's turning me into a demon to whoever he's talking to. Whatever. That's cool. Whoever he's talked to, if they believe one word that's come out of his mouth, that's cool. That's a sign for me to never have any contact with them whatsoever again. And I'm good at cutting people out. That's how I operate. There's some people that, it's like, they let people out and they kick people out, they let them back in, they kick people out and they let them back in. I am not like that. Once somebody is gone, they are gone, and it really takes a major effort for them to be allowed back in. It's much easier not to interact with people than to interact with people. So I just don't. They're gone, that's it. I don't want my son to be gone, but he is. He's gone missing. He can't be around me without being abused. Until he's gotten a handle on that, he's gone. He's out. He's got a permanent way back in if he wants it, but I don't think he wants it. Anyway, sorry, I've circled back on myself again. The point is, having gone through and done this personal test, being alone is better than being with an abusive person, period. No matter how much you think your life is going to tank because of your changing your life circumstances, it will be better if you kick out the abusive person. Or if you leave, or however you do it. But if you get them out of your life will be better. And I wish everybody had the strength to do that. Because you can't make progress with avoidant personality disorder if you're still actively being abused. Anyway, on that cheery note, I hope everybody has a nice holiday, whichever holiday you celebrate. Bye.